Want a building permit? Then give up your right to vote. The city of Carlsbad, California, has been demanding that property owners who want a permit to renovate their homes sign an agreement waiving their right to vote on assessments. A lawsuit was filed in 2006 by the Pacific Legal Foundation on behalf of a homeowner who was essentially being bribed out of their fundamental right to vote by the city. This case will be heard by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals this week. For the details on this case, see the news story links under our video description section. Montana State Governor signed a bill into law that would exempt any firearm, a firearm accessory, or ammunition manufactured and retained in Montana from federal regulation. This new law means that locally built and used firearms are not subject to federal law or federal regulation, including registration, under the authority of Congress to regulate interstate commerce. The states created the federal government to serve them. All too often, the federal government stomps all over the states. We are now seeing states like Montana stand up for their rights. Representative Peter King of New York has sponsored HR 2159, the Denying Firearms and Explosives to Dangerous Terrorists Act of 2009, which permits the Attorney General to deny transfer of a firearm to any known or suspected dangerous terrorist. The bill requires only that the potential firearm transferee is appropriately suspected of preparing for a terrorist act and that the Attorney General has a reasonable belief that the gun might be used in connection with terrorism. Suspected terrorist? Reasonable belief? Sounds like a green light for the government to do what they want.
Put taps on his 20 most frequently called numbers, and let's get into his life. The union situation has mob written all over it. And he's definitely vulnerable on Rachel Banks. I want to know about his wife. I want to know about his parents. I want to know about his gambling problems, his urine samples, his porno rentals. I want to use every means possible to get what we need. Because this little son of a bitch is not going to be the final chapter of my life.
In a historic first, the states are getting more money from the federal government than all the money raised through state sales, property, and income tax. Money talks, and when your biggest check comes from the feds, who will be your real constituency? The feds or your state voters? On a related note, the Obama administration is threatening to rescind billions of dollars in federal stimulus money if Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and state lawmakers do not restore wage cuts to unionized home health care workers that was approved in February as part of the budget cuts. See who's calling the shots? The big hand of Washington. Ending on an up note, a bill calling for the Comptroller General of the United States to audit the private Federal Reserve is gaining widespread support in Congress, as 124 reps have added their names to its growing list of co-sponsors. Ron Paul, the bill's sponsor, said, "Throughout its nearly 100-year history, the Federal Reserve has presided over the near-complete destruction of the United States dollar. Since 1913, the dollar has lost over 95% of its purchasing power, aided and abetted by the Federal Reserve's loose monetary policy." Paul appropriately called oversight of the Fed long overdue. Thank you for joining ICN this week. We've been showing you clips from the 1998 film Enemy of the State. Do you believe in coincidence?
Who's this guy? I'm gonna check the executive NSA files. Let's run a photo ID on him. Reynolds Thomas Bryan, born 9/11/40. Attended Episcopal School, D.C., BA, Harvard, PhD, Princeton. On loan from the State Department since '95. This guy's not a professional, he's a politician.
It's kind of creepy to see that date reference in a pre-9/11 movie. 366 to 1 odds. From all of us at Informed Citizen News, have a great week.